All right. Well, I do have something for us to talk about, and it is really glad to welcome my next guest to the program. We have oftentimes his friend and co-patriot, Justin Danhoff, is oftentimes with us. And today we have the pleasure of being joined by David Almasi. And David, welcome. Good to have you on board.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate your giving us the chance to talk today.
It is really a pleasure. I really sincerely love what the National Center for Policy Research does and the fight that you guys fight on behalf of all of us. But going into the lion's den like you do is, it takes a lot to do it. And I really encourage you folks to get to nationalcenter.org, the website, nationalcenter.org, and get their latest. You can also sign up for their email blast that goes out. They're not going to flood your inbox with a bunch of nonsense. They're going to give you a means by which you can make a difference. So, David, who's on the hit parade today that we've gone in and visited with, and what did we get back out of that meeting?
Well, what we're doing is our Free Enterprise Project has been going to shareholder meetings around the country. This is shareholder meeting season. It is the time of year when most companies have their obligatory meeting with shareholders that they have to put on, talk about where the company's going, deal with the election of the board of directors in a public setting, compensation issues, and there's a question and answer session. And that and shareholder proposals are where the National Center lives during these times. And today I was at the General Electric meeting in Imperial, Pennsylvania, which is just outside of Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. And we had a proposal there. We did a kind of a bait and switch almost, or so to speak, with the left. The left, for a long time, as a way to get back at conservatives in the business community for the Citizens United decision, which allows corporate spending in political settings, they have been trying to pass proposals at shareholder meetings that requires the company to disclose what it pays, who it pays, for things like professional relationships. Like if you're with a trade association, they want you to say a company to say why they did it, how much they're paying for it, what they expect from it, and make that public. And we know that the reason why they do this is to find out who they're giving money to on the right and demonize those companies, make it so that they're toxic. They've done this to the American Legislative Exchange Council, also called ALEC. They've done it to the Chamber of Commerce. They've done it to the Business Roundtable, National Association of Manufacturers, National Restaurant Association, people that are helping these companies out, helping them with strategies, helping them with lobbying, helping them with other things that help promote free enterprise. And so what we did is we filed the same wording of a resolution, but then put the pro-capitalist spin on it, saying, tell us what you did, why you did it, why it's important for your business, and why it helps the investors. And because we did it, this is the trick, because we did it before the left put in the same exact thing against ALEC and these other groups, we won. The Securities and Exchange Commission, which oversees the whole proposal process, has a first-come, first-served rule. So we got it in before the left, we won, and so then the left decided to oppose us. So that was our trick today. So I went to the GE shareholder meeting and dealt with presented this proposal and told the shareholders not to believe the left's rhetoric and to be stronger, the company to be stronger in fighting for its affiliations with pro-capitalist groups.
Wow. This is major, because I know that, generally speaking, the left has been able to get in there ahead of you guys. I know recently, I was just reading that article that Justin recently was barred from attending as a shareholder, even though he had proper ownership identification. He was refused access to one of the corporate meetings, and we can talk about that in a minute if you like.
Yeah.
But this is major, David. This is really a big deal.
Oh, yeah. In this case, I mean, the left has an incredible network of investor activists who put in proposals. There was a woman, I was at the Kraft shareholder meeting, the Kraft Heinz shareholder meeting 2 days ago, and there was a woman there from one of the leftist investor services. They're trying to impose restrictions on them for packaging. They want more recycled packaging. And she was there at Boeing. I'm saying Boeing. She was there at GE with me today. She was behind 3 proposals. We had 1 proposal. She had 3 that she was speaking on. There were various ways to hamstring the businesses. And if we can get in there and get up, and it's a big effort to get these proposals going, but the left has the lawyers, it has the money, it has the shares, and it's just, when you see all of the leftist bulwark, this is a critical part of it. We're the one place on the right where we have conservative free market values being promoted at these shareholder meetings. There's us, there's second votes, and there's a couple people say they're going to get into it in the future, but there's not much on the right.
Well, and here's what I want people to understand, because it's hang on, I'm finishing writing my thought here as you were sharing that. People are often asking why my favorite cereal, or say recently Yeti, or whatever other entity it is, and we always run into this and we go, well, that's it. I'm not gonna shop there anymore, not gonna use that anymore, not gonna go do that anymore, because that company has come out through a commercial or through a statement or some way they have embraced a leftist ideology. And I think people are always going, well, what the heck? What do I do? I mean, this is nuts. It's like everywhere I turn, I mean, you go into the grocery store, yeah, there's 1,000 different types of cereal, but they're all owned by 3 companies, and 2/3 of them, right, are proposing and supporting stuff that is destructive to my own family, for goodness sake. Why would I hand over money to them? And they're frustrated by it. And folks, this is why we've been bringing the National Center for Policy Research on Chosen Generation Radio for the last 2.5 years, okay? It's because this is how you make a change. This is how you impact what that corporation is actually going to do, and who they're going to listen to, because you get in front of the board as a stockholder and you say, enough is enough is enough. This is where those decisions are made. David, did I share that properly?
Yes, you did. These people, these corporate leaders, are always afraid of offending people. And when you saw that, your listeners with Laura Ingraham, the boycott of her advertisers, and a number of her advertisers shed her show because they were afraid of boycotts. They were afraid of the bad press that was going to result. They were angry because leftists were tweeting them and sending them emails and calling them and saying, "Oh, I'm not going to use your product as long as you support Laura Ingraham." More conservatives need to go do these sorts of things. They need to go to these. They need to make those same calls. They need to make those same tweets to let these advertisers know that, and these manufacturers, that their liberal views have consequences. And that, I think, has happened a lot with the Second Amendment issues after Parkland. The NRA has a lot of very avid supporters. And so with companies like Hertz and what we were talking about this last couple of days, Yeti, the cooler manufacturer, when they have broken with the NRA, they have had people coming out. The NRA activists, I think, are a little bit different from other activists. They're coming out and saying, "That's it. We're not going to use your products anymore." And it's going to. Those people are having an eye-opening experience. But it's
they are. It's waking them up. Well, and it's important again. Stop for a minute, folks, and think about this. A lot of you that listen to my program, many of you are in that 18 to 35 market, and you're, launching out there, and I love you. But there's a lot of you that listen to my program that are in the 55 plus market like I am, okay? And you stop thinking about your investments. Think about the mutual funds that you hold. Think about the retirement investments that you have right now that you hold. I promise you that many of those investments, if you broke down and looked at the actual companies that your broker actually has you vested in, are many of these companies that we talk about every day that have these interests. Well, guess what? Those shares that you own make you a shareholder. Now, you maybe have never thought about this before. You've never thought about, well, yeah, I guess I am a shareholder because it's just an investment, and usually the broker handles all the proxies, and you don't ever even see any of that stuff. You need to get involved, and you can actually, I would imagine, help National Center for Policy Research by proxying them in as somebody that can go and represent you at a shareholders meeting. How about that?
Yeah, it's simple to go. If you own stock, you in a company, you have a right to go to that shareholder meeting and speak up. And this is a golden opportunity for you to go speak with the head of a new corporation and also speak to him or her publicly in front of other shareholders, and more importantly, speak to them in front of their board and our corporate leaders. Last year, I went to Time Warner and complained about CNN and the incredible bias the CNN news has. And I went toe-to-toe with the CEO, but I also was right there in front of his leadership team and his board of directors. And we saw media stories afterwards that they had a meeting afterwards in which supposedly that leadership said, we need to cut back on the Russia stuff. And a little bit later than that, that's when you had those 3 producers and writers fired from CNN for producing material that could not be sourced. And I can't help but think that me and the CEO going at it in front of them didn't help that happen. So that's just one person. I mean, this is our job, but anybody can go in and do that.
Well, and let me give you a phone number, because I know that the National Center for Policy Research, they want people to partner with them in doing this. There's an opportunity to make donations to help them to be able to get to these meetings and so on. And they're happy to show you, the stockholder, how you can make a difference. So let me give you their number real quick. It's 202-507-6398. 202-507-6398. Again, that number, 202-507-6398. Look, if you are a shareholder in one of these companies and it's buried in, your retirement investment funds and what have you, and you were, okay, I'm just kind of watching the stock on this, not really paying attention, but you're invested in it, and one of them is going awry. They may be able to tell you, yeah, listen, here's a list of my investments. Tell me, which ones are you looking at? Which ones are do I need to be paying attention to? And how can we make this work? This is also a part of we rant and rave about, corporations and what corporations are doing and what leftist corporations are doing, David, to destroy our country, our republic, our nation, what have you. But very few have the end that you guys do, and so much as being able to actually have an impact and make a difference. And I know, too, Justin's been on here, a lot of these corporations are using strategies to block the kind of feedback that you were able to give to that CEO by, we'll have, certain individuals that won awards like Disney did recently, interfere and get in line in front of us so that way we don't have to give a platform to investors. But there's ways around that as well. So, David, what's another one of these? We've only got a few minutes left, but I'd like to hear, do you have another story of another company that you recently visited?
Well, the story that you teased earlier, I'll do that one. But Justin went to the VF shareholder meeting down in, I believe it was Charlotte, North Carolina. VF is for Vanity Fair, and that's the company that makes Wrangler jeans, Vans clothing. And in particular, we were there for North Face. North Face's president, its division leader, decided that the brand was going to oppose the Trump administration for its landmark adjustments, the national landmarks that had scaled back earlier this year. And we wanted to make it clear to them that they're putting themselves at risk by being partisan, and that 50% of the American people voted for Donald Trump. Those 50% might look at North Face now and say, I'm not going to buy this. The landmark designations dealt with resource issues and grazing and things like that. That could jump over and affect Wrangler jeans because those are very well known and admired by people in the ranching community. Right. And what happened was they decided that because many people own stock through their brokers, we own stock through our broker. And they said that because we didn't own the stock outright and had that nice certificate and all that, we couldn't come to the meeting. Obviously, they knew we were there. They knew who Justin was. They were trying to make it as difficult as possible for him to be there, and they didn't. I doubt that they did this to other people. And so he ended up not being able to go to the meeting because he wouldn't accept the compromise of you can sit in the room, but you can't talk. You can't participate in the process. So we've already filed a phone complaint with the SEC about this. We're definitely going to follow it up, but that's just one of the reasons how these companies make it so hard for shareholders to come and speak their minds. At GE today, someone was complaining, they brought up during the question and answer period, how hard it was for him and his family to jump through all the hoops and get the tickets to go to this meeting, which was way out in the boonies of the Pittsburgh area.
And again, these are tactics that are being waged by leftists within the corporations. You know, there are many of these CEOs, and I talked to Kyle Reyes of Silent Partner Marketing after he did that big thing where he had an employment questionnaire that basically was trying to rule out individuals that were PC. I'm basically saying, if you're PC, I'm not gonna hire you. If you're a leftist, you can't work for me. And got a big push on that. Ended up on Fox and what have you. Now he's got, I think it's called the Whiskey Patriots. At any rate, Kyle told me, he said, you know, on the QT, he said, I got calls from, he said, probably 100 CEOs of companies that you would know that said to me, good job, we're rooting for you, but goodness gracious, if we said anything, if there was even an inkling that I was talking to you right now, you know, my board might fire me. I mean, it would be stock, you know, he said, I would feel like it might be a stockholder revolt. And again, this is what you're talking about. Look at Eichner. No, not Eichner. Mozilla. What was the guy's name?
Brendan Eich, who was fired by his board because he gave a personal donation out of his bank account, not the Mozilla bank account, to support that ballot initiative in California that made traditional marriage the recognized marriage. And for that crime, that thought crime, the left-wing activists, they looked through the nation lists for important people, publicized it, and then the board retaliated against them. And the National Center, our Free Enterprise Project, we made proposals up that said that you could not fire people for their personal political beliefs exercised outside the workplace. You could not retaliate against them in the workplace. We had 13 companies that represent millions of employees, places like Pepsi, Home Depot, Lowe's, I believe, that they settled with us. They were willing to put that kind of protection in their employee handbooks because we forced the issue. And we're very proud of that, and that's something that shareholders can do to protect, to help companies be more all-encompassing in protecting both conservative and liberal thought.
And again, it should be noted that it was activists at the Mozilla stockholder meeting that forced the board and encouraged the board and demanded that the board remove Brandon Ike from a company that he founded using technology that he invented. Okay. And it, and that's why it's so important and why we're talking about this. And folks, you can make a difference. Again, I want to give you the phone number for National Center for Public Policy Research, 202-507-6398, 202-507-6398. Once again, 202-507-6398. Just simply tell them, I'm interested in finding out how I can use my stock share ownership to attend stockholder meetings and help support what you're doing. That's what you're calling for. And I hope that you will today. David Almasi, thank you for being with us today. Please tell Justin and Judy that I said hello, and I thank them for all their prayers. Tell them that my recovery is coming along, and one roll at a time, but I'm getting there.
Okay, it's great to be on your show. We really appreciate your help over the years.
Blessings to you, my friend. All right.